Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the BeerDad and Brewed podcast. As always, I am the hostess with the mostest, the BeerDad himself, Justin Allen, and I am joined. Here he is, Sir Brandon of the Hills of Agoura. What's up, Brandon?
What's up, man? With this filter, my beer looks extra hazy, or it looks like spectral. Looks kind of like a
Little blur.
ghost beer. But
There you go.
what's up, man? How's it going?
Awesome, man. Yeah, it's going good, man. So we are doing another virtual episode here, as we are not together at a brewery as per the usual. Instead, we are probably, I don't know, 500-600 miles away. I'm not exactly sure how far the distance is, but you are home and I am not home, as I am in the wonderful city and capital of Sacramento, California. I'm up here on a business trip, so I thought, let's put our heads together and come up with something fun. So we've got something fun for the listeners, right? I am in Sacramento, you're at home. However, you have procured some frosty beverages from Northern California, and of course, I've got beers from Sacramento, so I am in Northern California. So real quick, the first beer that I'm going to pour here is from King Kong Brewing here in Sacramento, California. And this is D Zungle. It's a premium Bohemian Pilsner, 4.4%. Had it before. It's crushable. I like it. I love it. I got you one, didn't I?
You did, yeah. About a year ago, man. It was really good. It was the first King Kong I'd had. I hadn't heard of the brewery prior. And
Yeah.
man, it's so clean. It takes almost like a Reinheitsgebot, like very proper, like German, clean, like brewed to rule beer. It's really good.
Super clean, super crisp. If you're a Crispy Boy fan, they do a great job there at King Kong Brewing. I've actually been there in person. It's a cool little brewery. It's not quite like in the downtown Sacramento area, so you don't have to worry about fighting the traffic. However, it's all street parking there. So depending on what they got going on, kind of might be a hard time to find parking, but don't give up. You'll eventually find parking, and it's worth it, I promise. When you walk in, don't be scared because it does look like it's a smaller tap room. And the inside, it is. You'll see the brew house to the left, and you'll see the bar, and then I think maybe like 4 or 5 tables. But back behind it is an amazing beer garden. So there's plenty of seating for everybody to have a good time. And again, they make some really, really good beers, and this one is awesome. I just love the fact that it's called King Kong, right? Because it's an old school monster movie, and a lot of people don't know. We were talking about intellectual properties before, and King Kong was one that the trademark was available, so people can make King Kong whatever they want. So here's King Kong Brewing, so they don't have to get worried about getting sued by Universal Studios because trademark is no longer owned by Universal.
That's cool.
Yeah, I dig the can art. I love it. Check it out.
Dropping a little fun facts for the kids back at home.
That's right. Got a little guerrilla action on the can art.
Yeah, it's really cool. So what is the brewery like? And is it like all King Konged out, or is it got like a jungle vibe to it? Or
it definitely has a jungle vibe. You got some obviously, gorillas because of King Kong. But you got kind of like the jungle striping and some of the theming with the on the walls. I think if I remember correctly, when I was there, I took a picture of my beer in the background with some kind of jungle theme, and I played Jungle Love by Morris Day and the Time in the reel. I thought it was appropriate,
Totally.
But yeah, this beer is just, I think it was a great way to start off because it's super crisp, super clean. So good. Yeah. And I actually have another beer lined up for later that kind of falls, very similar to this category. I'm excited to share that as well from another brewery in Sacramento. So I essentially have 2 Crispies and I have 1 wild, outrageous beer. So I think I'll do the Crispy first, the wild, outrageous, and then we'll go Crispy for the end there. So what are you drinking?
Yeah, you've been teasing this wild crazy beer. I'm excited to hear what it is. Okay, so I'm drinking a hazy IPA from Drake's Brewing Company. There's the can right there.
The Juicy Hoot. I
Yeah,
love it.
juicy hoot. It's really good, man. Let's see, it's a 7.0, but it doesn't feel like it feels like a lower ABV than that. It's very crushable. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know what hops are in there, but it's got definitely like a tangerine candy kind of vibe to it.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, it's really good though. And I started with my hazy IPA just in case there was going to be a chug involved. I was like, well, I gotta save some crispy boys in case there's a chug. But
That's right.
yeah, I got some fun stuff going on too. But yeah, Drake's Brewing. I think the original location is in San Leandro.
Okay.
Yeah, out there in the Bay Area. And then you and I were talking a little bit about Drake's, and I feel like you guys might have featured them on like the show, in maybe some of the episodes years ago. But yeah, we were talking that there's a second location out in Sacramento where you're at, and they have, you said it's like what was it? Like a barn?
So they call it Drake's the Barn, and it's right on the Sacramento River. For those of you who've never been to Sacramento, you really should come. I mean, if you're a Californian, it's our capital. Really cool stuff. A lot of history here for the state of California. Old Town Sacramento, which is right on the river, is really cool to see. There's an old historic railroad museum, stuff like that. And then, of course, obviously the Capitol. The Capitol building is just the old, it looks like the White House, but our California version. And there's a whole downtown area. There's a historic bridge, like all kinds of cool stuff to see in Sacramento. But Drake's the Barn, it's right on the river. And what they've done is they've built like this outdoor venue. So the brewery itself, or tap room, whatever you want to call it, it's outdoors. So you have kind of like almost like those metal like storage shed buildings, and they kind of cut them out and turned them into serving bars where they serve the beer. And they also have a pizza kitchen there that serves food. Sometimes they pull in other food trucks as well, but it's expansive and huge, and it's right on the river. Beautiful view at sunset, amazing scenery there. So you can get your Drake's beer and sample it and have nice, beautiful views, good food. There's a huge like park area where they have like cornhole, so a bunch of cornhole games. So you can, toss a beanbag. Other types of, games. They had bonfires. And again, it's like right on the river. So you can either get a view of kind of the rolling hills and the grass where the park area is at, as well as, being right on the river, sitting in your chair, enjoying your beverage, watching the sunset over the river. It's a really cool spot. So if you're ever in the Sacramento area, there's a lot of really good breweries to visit. Drake's is a great brewery, but it's like that destination brewery that you want to go to, more so for the experience. Not to discredit what they got going on when it comes to their beverages, but
Right.
it's just a cool spot. So highly recommended to see Drake's. But how do you like that hazy?
Yeah, man, it's really good. It's super solid. I wouldn't say there's anything like crazy standing out, but it just seems to me like a really solid, probably core hazy that they probably have on tap there. Ooh, there's the pour. Yeah, but I'm gonna have to go check out the Sacramento brewing scene, and yeah, like you said, there's so much history up there as well.
Yeah.
You and I, having spent much of our lives, growing up and living in California, and I know the listeners can't see it right now, but you're at the governor's mansion right now. Governor Newsom is putting BeerDad up tonight. They're good buddies. So
Yeah, everybody knows that's the truth.
yeah, he was like, "Hey, come on, I'll put you up. I just want you to procure some good beers. We'll have a good time."
I don't know why, but I just feel like Newsom's too snooty for craft beer. I don't know. I picture him sitting there sipping on some like port wine or something. I don't know.
It seems like a cocktail guy. Like, and he
Yeah,
wants it made like super specifically, and he would
like a
send it
Tom
back.
Collins.
Yeah, and like if they miss one part of the ingredient, he would send it back.
Yeah, definitely turn his nose up to stuff for sure.
Like,
Yeah.
this is missing the lemon squeeze at the end.
right? The little twist, lemon twist at the
Yeah.
end. So some muddled bitters.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's funny.
But
Yeah, so you
what
got a hazy, I got a crispy. You're doing I guess you could say Drake's is Bay Area / Sacramento, so we're kind of on the same page here.
there you go. Yeah, so doing all your business trips up to Sacramento sounds like you've had a little bit of time to explore the Sacramento brewing scene. Is there any other places, or like, let's say, hey, I'm going to Sacramento this weekend and I'm gonna go brewery hopping. Like, what are some of the hot spots? I know you talked a little bit about King Kong and the Drake's location in Sacramento, but any other spots you think like people should really check out?
Oh, absolutely. Sacramento is really starting to kind of set off their beer scene with some newer locations and newer breweries opening up here. It's kind of an untapped area, I think. Large population. You have people of all walks of life. So there's definitely untapped potential up here because, if you wanted to compare, say, Sacramento to San Diego, you can't compare it because San Diego's got 300 plus breweries throughout the county. But up here in Yolo County or Sacramento County, like there's a million counties up here, by the way. It gets confusing because there's Sacramento and there's West Sacramento and South Sacramento. And then there's all these weird towns and whatnot that kind of are cities, but they're still considered Sacramento. Like where I'm at right now, where I'm recording from. No, I'm not at the governor's mansion. I am in Casa de Guzik. Shout out to Brandon Guzik. But I'm here in Natomas, which is just north of Sacramento, just kind of north of the river area. A stone's throw essentially from Sacramento. I'm about 10 minutes from downtown Sacramento, but north of it, Natomas is literally like that first town you hit right when you leave the Sacramento airport. So I'm up here and in Natomas, which is one of their locations, but it's the big one, and that's where they do most of their brewing. Track 7 Brewing is a really good brewery here in Sacramento, which is my next beer. So I'm excited to share that with everybody. But Track 7 is really cool. A lot of wild stuff that they come up with, and you'll see when I drink that beer because it's crazy.
Okay. I'm excited.
But the cool thing about Track 7 is Track 7 kind of near and dear to my heart for up here because it was probably the first Sacramento beer I've ever had. And this is going back in the day. So one of their famous beers is a porter, which is one of my favorite styles of beer. Not just a porter, but a peanut butter porter, and it is called Knuckin' Futs. And I just think the marketing and the pun and everything, it's freaking awesome. And it's just a solid beer. It never changes. The recipe stays the same. Is it going to blow somebody's socks off? Only if they're into like peanut butter type beers, maybe. But it's a solid beer. It always tastes the same every time I get it. And I was fortunate enough to go there Monday night when I was up here. I went with a couple of friends from work, and we went over to Track 7, and I looked up on the board, and there's all these wild, crazy things and different things that I want to try. But I was like, the OG, the very first Track 7 beer that I've ever had was Knuckin' Futs. So I went ahead and ordered that, and it was delicious. I mean, it was crisp and cold, right there from the source, and it was peanut buttery. It wasn't over the top. It wasn't overly sweet. It's just a really, really good beer. And you might find that from time to time in stores in Southern California, because that's actually where I found it. Okay. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I believe old Joshua Kunkel was the one that turned me on to the Knuckin' Futs.
Wow. Okay. How does it stack up? How does it stack up with your beloved Belching Beaver peanut butter milk stout?
Oh, it's right up there. It really is, and then I don't find it that much, so it's nice to have it. But yeah, if you have it, you would see why. It's a really good beer.
Okay.
And they have, yeah, and they have all kinds of other wild stuff. There's a blood transfusion or something, blood transfusion IPA. That's one of their core beers. And I've had that before. I found that like down there in SoCal at like Bevmo or Total Wine or something like that. But definitely encouraged to visit the brewery because it's really, really cool. They bring in food trucks and stuff like that. And then one of their older locations in Sacramento, which I believe is more so like West Sac area. I don't know the area that great, but it's kind of a cool like industrial area with a little roll up door, very small tap room. But it just has those like old school brewery vibes when you walk in, and they'll bring food trucks there too as well. But yeah, Track Seven's really cool brewery. So highly recommended when you get up here to Sacramento, check out Track Seven. And let's see, what else do we got? So we got a couple other breweries in the area. So I actually kind of like leaving the Sacramento, or oh, wait, hold on. I want to talk about another brewery because I do have their beer for the end, Urban Roots. So we've all heard about Urban Roots. They're pretty popular. You can find them from time to time, at different locations throughout the state. What I like about Urban Roots is something that I didn't know before, because I already liked their beer. And I actually got to have Urban Roots at the Lagerville Festival. And it was amazing. As pretty much everything I've had from Urban Roots has always been good. But what I didn't know was how fucking, sorry, there's my language, amazing their barbecue is. So you like barbecue, and I love barbecue.
Yep.
This place, their barbecue food is like next level. It's insane. So like when you get to the area and you park and you get out of your car and you just kind of take that deep breath and you're like, oh my gosh, it smells like heaven over here. And you walk inside and that waft of barbecue hits your face. And so kind of the way they've done it is they separated like church and state almost, right? So you walk in and you've got the barbecue on the left, beer on the right, and you go up and you can order your food on the left and you order the beer on the right. They keep it separate houses, which there's nothing wrong with that. And I got to tell you, the food it's just insane. I mean, it's so good. It'll make you want to slap your grandma. Like it's, wow. Like I'm salivating thinking about it. So the first time I had their food, I got to shout out my boss, Jill. She'll probably hear this. But she took me there and I had burnt ends and mac and cheese.
Ooh.
And it almost put me to euphoria. I was like, this is so freaking good. And so it was so good that we bragged about it to all our coworkers the next day. And so a couple of the coworkers wanted to go out with us and they're like, would you guys mind going back to that place? Because you made it sound so good. And so I was like, listen, you don't have to ask me twice to go back to barbecue. So I'm there. So I went twice, 2 times, 2 nights in a row. And the food was amazing. The beer was amazing. Of course, I brought beers to go. And so that was my last trip up here. So this flash forward to this trip, I got to see my aunt and uncle. They picked me up from the airport. I haven't seen them in a long time. Love them to death. And my uncle he's into craft beer. And so he knew about this place because of me. And he was like, you want to go there? And I was like, sure. So we went there. And of course, I had burnt ends and I had greens. I had mac and cheese. I think my aunt got pulled pork. He got brisket. We all kind of shared our meals together. And it's just so, so good. So good, in fact, that my aunt went and bought more to take home for their ride home so they'd have some dinner later on. And then she bought me a salad and some meat too. Somebody's racing down the street apparently. But she bought some, it was a beet salad, really, really good. And then it had, it was supposed to be, I was supposed to get smoked turkey, but I ended up with her brisket that she ordered. I think they took my turkey home. But yeah, the food's amazing. Definitely amazing.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but they also have a Houston location, right? And am I confused?
No, that's Urban South.
Urban South.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Urban Roots.
Yeah. Urban Roots is just here up in Sacramento. Great place, great vibe. A lot of murals painted on the walls, like sneakerheads. There's a big set of Converse sneakers painted on the wall. It's a local brewery. It'll kind of like, if you saw it, it would kind of remind you of Tarantula Hill.
Okay.
That we went to.
Yeah.
Similar in size and just kind of the setup where it's like a restaurant / brewery, pretty decent size brewing area. They got some nice there's barrel program there. You can see that through the windows. It looked like there was a food or tank back there. So they get into the funky stuff too. And I saw like up on the menu, like I saw saisons, I saw sours, I saw ciders, I saw seltzers. They also serve wine for those folks like my aunt. She's not much of a beer drinker. She was able to get some nice wine from some various local wineries. So they have a little bit of everything for everybody. I believe they do like wine slushies and stuff like that. I think I saw a soft serve ice cream machine. I don't know what that's all about. I don't know if it was beer ice cream or regular ice cream, but yeah, they're definitely set up for success. Their barbecue sauce, they have 3 different types, and they have these big old vats with ladles, and you can serve yourself your own sauce for your meats.
Nice.
It's just, I'm telling you, next level. You got to go check out Urban Roots here in Sacramento.
Damn. Yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm feeling like I need to book a trip and just do a beer trip up to Sacramento, you know?
Totally worth it. I mean, hell, and you can fly on Southwest for $49 each way. And no, the BeerDad and Brew podcast is not sponsored by Southwest Airlines. However, if they would like to provide us with free flights so we could enjoy frosty cold beverages throughout the United States, Southwest Airlines is the only way to fly because why? They're cheap and they give you free bags. So check that out. And I swear, we're not sponsored by Southwest Airlines.
But that would be open to be. Man, dude, that reminds me of that great barbecue we had in Las Vegas.
Oh man, that was next level too.
Yeah. What was it? It was like, yeah, there's like a barbecue joint in Las Vegas that is in like a shared space with Huddle Brewing Company and Nevada Brew Works. And I'm blanking on the name. I apologize to the barbecue joint, but it was.
I totally remember. I just remember we ordered a plate for Kings or something like that, and it just had everything.
So much. I'm gonna look up that name just so we can shout it out.
I love it. Definitely do that. Well, while you're looking that up, I'll talk about some more breweries out here. So getting a little bit out of the Sacramento City area, if you get down to Rancho Cordova, which is, I guess, if you're looking at Sacramento, it'd be kind of southeast of Sacramento, if I'm not mistaken. But down in Rancho Cordova, you got some really good breweries. Log Off Brewing, really cool. Been there. In fact, they just won a medal at the same the Cal Expo brewery or brewing competition that BeerDad's Brew Works and Oscar's Brewing won a silver medal at. Log Off won a medal there, a gold medal. And then also very famous Burning Barrel, which is up here. Very famous for their funky stouts and sours and just really cool vibe. But definitely worth a check. Worth it to check them out. There's probably Rancho Cordova is probably, if there's no traffic, which is hard to come by up here in Sacramento, but if there's no traffic, you're probably looking at about 25 minutes from Sacramento to get out to Rancho Cordova. You got Slice down in Lincoln, which is south of here. It's a big one. And then one of the new breweries, Shred Beer. Shred is a new brewery, and they just swept up at Great American Beer Festival. And one of the owners / brewer is the former head brewer from Aero Lodge down in Los Angeles. So she came up here and started her own brewery, and it's called Shred. And there, from what I understand, I haven't got my hands on any beers. I might actually try to go there tomorrow night. We'll see how it goes. But I hear nothing but great things about Shred too as well. And then of course in Rockland is Moxa Brewing, which a lot of people have heard of. Huge heavy hitter in the stout game. In fact, the former head brewer opened up Gold Brewing down in San Diego. So a lot of inner workings going on here, doing a little head brewer trading, opening new breweries and stuff like that. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of cool stuff up here in Sacramento that everybody needs to come check out. And like I said, cheap to fly up here. Get yourself like a little hotel room as a base and just kind of cruise and check it out. Go explore, downtown Sacramento. I want to shout out, and I hope they hear this episode, but Mojo's local tap room in downtown Sacramento. We were there last night because, the BeerDad's got to watch the Los Angeles Chargers, and they defeated pretty easily the New York Jets last night on Monday Night Football.
Congrats on that.
Yeah. So, but Mojo's local tap room is, like right in the heart of downtown, very close to the Capitol building, and great little spot. They got a small little parking lot, so you can actually find some parking there at nighttime as long as you're there after business hours, like the Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 type thing. Because then the business that has that parking lot, that they don't park there anymore, so there's plenty of parking. But the beer selection there, this is like almost like the craft lounge in Sacramento. Huge on the craft beer scene. They have a little bit of everybody, even some breweries I've never even heard of before. But what caught my attention when I first walked in is tap one and tap two. Tap one, Pliny the Elder. Tap two, Blind Pig. You don't see that very often. So to see that, I knew they probably have some good quality beers, and they did. Whole long list of, they had Track 7, they had King Kong, they had Burning Barrel, they had all kinds of different local breweries, but then they also had Pizza Port and stuff like that from San Diego. So a mix of everything. And they may or may have not been talking to some guy that owns a place called BeerDad's Brewworks about trying to get some beer up here. So that was really cool. But it's a cool little bar. It's got these roll-up doors, great venue, nice little outdoor seating, plenty of seating inside. Their food was phenomenal. I wasn't expecting much. It was a bunch of people of us. We all got together and we're like, let's order a little bit of everything. So I ordered the wings. 25 wings for $24. First of all, that's a steal. Buffalo Wild Wings is like $38.50 for 20 wings. This is 25 wings, and they were really, really good. And then they had these things called Mojo fries that had pulled pork and beer cheese on top, and those were amazing. So highly recommend Mojo's tap room here in Sacramento. Go see them. If you're a Sacramento Kings fan, they're a Kings bar, so every Kings game is going to be played there. They do like raffles and different prizes during Kings games, so go check them out. And on Monday night, every beer on tap, 30 beers on tap, every beer was $2 off. So that was nice. And then they had Light the Bean, which is one of King Kong Brewing's Sacramento Kings beers. It's a pale ale, really easy drinking, crushable beer for $5 a pint. So can't go wrong. So go check those guys out. Mojo's there in downtown Sacramento.
Mojo's. Okay. That sounds like a good place to like do a lunch stop or a dinner stop if you're out there kind of cruising around to the different breweries. Yeah, it sounds like a good place to get some food, catch your breath, and then go hit a couple more breweries after.
Get after it, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
It looks like you poured another beer there.
Yeah, and I real quick want to shout out that amazing barbecue that we had in Las Vegas. It's called Soul Belly.
Soul Belly. There you go.
Soul Belly Barbecue, and it's in a shared space with two breweries, Huddle, which we did a show at. Shout out to Joe and all the amazing people over there. And then another really, really cool brewery called Nevada Brewworks. It's in that little they all just share one little space there. So you can get beer at two great breweries and some good food if you're out in Las Vegas. But anyway, we're talking about NorCal tonight, of course. But I just want to shout them out.
So you just poured a beer from NorCal. What do you got?
I did, yeah. Okay, so this is from a place called Dokkaebier. Have you heard of these guys before? Dokkaebier. So I have seen them kind of showing up in different bottle shops and places like Total Wine and Bev or Bevmo. And I had never tried them until just now. But they are out of Oakland. So kind of close to where you are, like, I don't know, an hour or so from where you're at. They focus on Asian-inspired beer. Seems like mostly like Korean influence, but they brew with just different like recipes and just like culturally inspired by a variety of different Asian countries. But yeah, this one, Bamboo Pilsner, was pretty highly rated on Untapped, your favorite app.
Everybody loves that app.
It's a 4.9 ABV, and yeah, it's pretty damn good, man. I'm gonna sip on it a couple more times to get my full sort of take on it, but
okay,
definitely a little floral. You know what it reminds me of is like the Japanese rice pilsner from Harland. It's very
that's
similar
one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is really good, and I'm sipping it out of my Bierstadt glass.
Oh, look at that glass.
Yeah. proper slow pour Pilsner.
I love it.
Yeah. But
I don't have any proper glassware here because old Casa de Guzik, he's a whiskey guy. So here I
okay.
am with a
Out of the
drinking
whiskey
out of whiskey
glass.
glasses.
Cool. Yeah, but these guys, they seem pretty cool. And I think they were just they didn't necessarily have a tap room for a while. I believe they just opened up a tap room in
Okay.
Oakland. And I was checking out
Huh.
some pictures on Instagram, and it looks like a really cool spot. And it looks like they serve like they have some kind of food court inside. So there's like the
Yeah.
brewery, and then there's like, I don't know if it's a separate restaurant or a food court or
Yeah.
like a kitchen that's associated with the brewery. But
Okay.
yeah, it looks like a cool spot, man. Um,
That's awesome.
yeah, this tastes like some beer that you'd want to like crush some like ramen with, or like some sushi, or like a really good just like Korean barbecue meal. I did see also they have a kimchi sour, which just
Ooh.
sounds wild. I wish I could have found that when I was out getting some beers for tonight.
That's
But
definitely something that I would try.
yeah, right. Do you like kimchi?
Oh man, I love kimchi. In fact, usually, um, I think we're almost out. She's out to get me some more, but we usually get it from Costco because it comes in a big tub and it'll last me a
Ooh,
little while. And, various dinners, I'll just grab a little side of it and throw it on there and eat it with it because it's a good palate cleanser, and I just
yeah.
love the flavor. I could eat that whole if my wife wasn't paying attention, I could probably eat that whole entire bucket because I love it so much. Every time I go to like a Korean barbecue, I always have a big old plate of kimchi to start off with. It's one of those things, and I like those little cucumbers that have like the sesame seeds on top with like kind of like the vinegar dressing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like chili flake, I think it is.
Yep.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Kimchi
making me
is
hungry.
crazy. I know, man.
All
Me
this
too.
talk of barbecue, the listeners are going to be so mad at us because they're going to be like, man, they're talking about all this food. Like, where's the food at?
Seriously, man. Yeah. Um, you got to try this, man. I bet you can find it out by you, because
All
they
right.
are pretty. It seems like they're getting wider and wider distribution. Trying to think where I ran into them, other than Los Angeles, out somewhere recently. Doesn't matter. Was in like a different state, I feel like, and I ran into them. But anyway, yeah, check it out. Dokkaebier.
Yes. Dokkaebier. Definitely going to check them out. It's my turn to pour something, and I promise something wild and crazy and all kinds of silly. Uh, Track 7 Brewing, like I said, they make the Nuck and Futs. They make really good IPAs. They're just kind of all over the map, but they do a lot of kettle sours. Some of their famous stuff, and a lot of fun innuendo and good marketing behind a lot of their kettle sours. Like they got one that the can looks like the original Gatorade, like the yellow one with the lightning bolt. Then they have one that looks like a big gulp, and it's like a big red type drink. But this one I got because it was so unique, and I had it at the tap room, and so they had cans to go. So I was like, I'm gonna definitely get this one. And this, you can cue up some Special Agent Oso music.
Mr. Dose here to talk about a special agent I know.
This is Oso Blanco.
Special Agent Oso.
Did you ever watch Special Agent Oso when you were a kid?
No.
No? Okay. My kids did. But this is a kettle sour with pineapple, mango, lime, raspberry, orange, white peach, and vanilla. And it's supposed to taste like melted gummy bears. And that's kind of what the can is. They're Oso Blanco. So you see the melted gummy bear there.
Wow.
Just the flavor on this was so intense. With sours, it's one of those things where, sometimes they're way too sweet. And then that kind of, but I like it when they blend the fruits really good and it really still has that sour puckery flavor. So we'll go ahead and there we go.
Oh,
The sound creeps.
so good.
The
Every
smell is ridiculous. So the smell actually smells like, and I not even exaggerating, but it smells just like you opened a bag of gummy bears. So they did a good job here. So here's the pour here.
Oh, okay. It's got
So it
kind of
almost
like
kind of
Yeah, like a blood orange or like a grapefruit kind
Yeah,
of look
definitely has
to
some kind of like juice vibes to it.
it. Yeah.
But like I said, the smell, when you get that aroma, it's really like you get some lime essence, but then you get all that fruit and it just smells like a bag of gummy bears.
Wow. Okay. You got to tell me. So you had this on draft. Now you're trying it on can for the first time. Any
It's super
any
tart.
differences? Yeah. Go ahead.
It's funny. It just kind of hits you in the face. You get first with the aroma, a lot of citrus because I think the lime almost overpowers a lot of it on the aroma. But then you can get some subtle hints of other fruits. But when you take that drink in, it kind of just hits you in the face with a flavor explosion, almost like an everlasting gobstopper, and then a nice tart sourness at the end. And then it rinses clean.
Ooh.
Really cool. It's like a Willy Wonka beer. It really is.
Whoa. Yeah, that's a cool way. That's a cool way of kind of describing it. Damn.
Yeah. If I was making this beer and I was going to name it, it's still a cool name because it does smell like gummy bears. But I mean, the everlasting gobstopper is what comes to mind. You know, when you hear when you have this, it's just so much going on. And I feel like if I take another sip, it might actually taste different than the first time. Yeah, there's a lot going on flavor wise with this beer, and I'm not mad at it. It's a good beer. It's not overly sweet like a lot of kettle sours can be. It's tart, puckery, but it has like a bash of all this flavor because, like I said, you're looking at pineapple, mango, lime, raspberry, orange, white peach, and vanilla. So you got to check this beer out. I'm gonna try to get a can home to you. I'm gonna try. I don't want to blow up in my suitcase with all the fresh fruit. But highly recommend that beer. That's a good one.
Wow. Does Track 7 have distribution like beyond NorCal to your knowledge?
Yeah, you'll find Track 7 down south. But usually it's just their core beers like the Nuck and Futz and the Blood Transfusion.
That's the one you were saying. Right. You were saying that earlier. Sorry.
Yeah, I haven't. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe some specialized bottle shops and stuff might be bringing them in, depending on if they have a distributor that gets it down to us. But I've never seen like the really funky, crazy beers. Like if you follow Track 7 on Instagram, you'll see, just about every week they're coming out with a crazy release. And a lot of their sours and stuff like that I've never seen in SoCal, but I could be wrong. If listeners listen to this episode and they're like, "Hey, my bottle shop has them," go ahead and send us a DM, tell us where it's at, so that we can get a hold of this stuff down in SoCal. But yeah, this is a very unique beer. It's different. If you're not a fan of sours, probably won't like it because it is puckery, it is sour. It is a good gateway beer for people that say they don't like beer, right? But it's a unique experience and I really like it. So I hope everybody can get over to Track 7 and try some this beautiful Oso Blanco.
Oso Blanco. Cool. Yeah, dude, I got two ideas of where people might be able to find it. Both out by me, so maybe that's not going to be helpful to everyone. But all right, there's a spot in a city called Sherman Oaks out by me. It's called Valley Beverage Company.
Okay.
And they have allocations from all over California and a bunch of different states. When I first started listening to this podcast, I wanted to find Kings. And even though Rancho Cucamonga is not that far from me, it's not like super convenient to get to for me.
Yeah.
So I was there. I was at Valley Beverage Company, and I saw that they had a ton of different King's beers, like really rare frosés, like stuff that they dropped like once, never brewed again.
Yeah.
And a bunch of other breweries too. So maybe they'll have some Track 7 over there. And then there's a spot in Moore Park, California that you turned me on to, a bottle shop. It's kind of close to Enegren, brewery that obviously we all love on the show. And I'm blanking on the name. Do you remember that bottle shop in Moore Park?
It's Handiest Food Mart.
Yes.
Yep. Old
Handiest
Tony,
food
the
mart.
crazy whiskey guy out there. Yeah, he
Okay.
loves his craft beer and he carries all kinds of cool stuff out there. So it could be possible. And you never know. You might find some Track 7 Oso Blanco if you do some happy hunting.
Yeah, that was a cool spot. I found God man, I can't remember what I found over there, but I asked you about a brewery one time, like, man, how could I find such and such brewery close by me? And you were like, you know what? I can't say 100%, but if I had to guess, I bet you Handiest Food Mart would have it, and they did. They had it. I
Wow.
wish I remember the brewery.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
might
he
have
does.
been you know what it was? It was Baba. It was Baba Brew
Baba
House.
Brew House.
He had some
Yeah.
Baba
Yeah.
Brew House. It was
He had
old.
them for a while.
Yeah, it was old, but it was I mean, it was like it was like from like 6 or 8 months like after the canning date, but it still was amazing and it was so worth it.
Wow.
Yeah. But
That's
so
awesome.
anyway, yeah, Handy's Food Mart, Moore Park, California, or Valley Beverage Company, Sherman Oaks, California, could be two places to check out to find some cool beers that you've heard about on the show before.
Some
But
goodies.
yeah, if you're Southern California based, yeah,
Snapping some photos here of the old beverages. Man, this is good. This is weird. Like it makes you salivate. Like you take that drink and you're done, and then you're like salivating in the back of your jowls for more.
damn, yeah, that sounds really good, man. I really want to try that, and then the peanut butter one. Yeah, this
Yeah,
one I'm
maybe
sipping on too is really good too. It's like super floral. Like, man, this would go. I'm like craving some like sushi or ramen. Like,
sounds good.
yeah,
Maybe next trip up, if I end up in a hotel accommodations, you can try to sneak up here and get a tour of the old California capital.
yeah, let's do it. Hey, I mean, come on, man. The governor will put us up. He's got a couple rooms for us, and
Gonna call a little Gavin Gav and say, "Hey,
yeah,
buddy, we're out here to drink some beer and have a good time."
old gruesome Newsome. We'll
Yep,
throw a cocktail or two in for him, and that's not a sexual innuendo. Don't get excited.
he probably got excited. It's funny talking about gruesome Newsome, and there's a brewery in Corona. It's called Evans Brewing, and they made a beer. I can't remember if it was IPA or what it was, but it was, I can't remember what it's called. It was like something Governator or something like that. But the can art was fantabulous. They basically made Governor Newsom look like one of those like remember those old hot rod comic characters like the Eddie Ball characters and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it came out so cool. Let me see if I can find it real quick. And it was super popular. Like they sold out of it like every time they had it. If a liquor store had it, it would sell out super quick. Let's see if I can find it. Pretty sure Gavin Newsom wasn't happy about it. Let's
Yeah,
see.
while you look, that reminds me of a brewery out by me called 818 out in Canoga Park. I brought some of their
Uh-huh.
beers on the show before. They during the Gavin Newsom recall a couple of years ago, they on election day, they released a beer called Gruesome Newsom. It was like I think it was like a double or triple IPA. They just threw some crazy shit together, and it was pretty good. And it was just like a one run and done type of beer. I wound up snagging a crowler of it, and
Oh, nice.
yeah, I wish I could find because like they did the announcement on Instagram, and I wish I could find it. It's from too long ago, but yeah, it's funny
Yeah.
how it's funny how a bunch of breweries like capitalized on that and kind of just made a joke about
Well,
it.
it wasn't just that too. It was um you know, and I mean we could talk about it, but during the pandemic, um a lot of the things that Gavin Newsom did here during California really changed the landscape of the craft beer industry. in totality. I truly, wholly believe that there's a lot of them that went out of business because of the pandemic. And I'm not saying Gavin Newsom's the reason for the pandemic, because that's not fair in saying that, as much as I'm not a big fan of him anyways. And that's not a fair assessment. But a lot of the things that happened during the pandemic when it was in regards to breweries and bottle shops and stuff like that, the forced closures and different things that went on. And then it didn't help that ABC has such archaic rules and laws and regulations. It just made it hard for a lot of those guys to survive. And unfortunately, we lost a lot of really good small business breweries and bottle shops because of that. And so there's a lot of hate for the governor in the craft brewing industry, and it has nothing to do with the politics behind everything. It was one of those things where he got petty with them, when it was one rule and they would try to overcome that rule just to keep in business. And it was like with the food thing, you had to serve food in order to have people back in your tap room.
Yeah.
Well, there was breweries that didn't have food.
Right.
So they had already been
a kitchen, right? Like it wasn't just, hey, you can bring a food truck on site, because that was the easy solution, right? It was not necessarily easy, but that was like the quicker, easier solution.
They wanted you to have your own food.
Right. You had to have a kitchen in the back in order to be open. And it was like, okay, most breweries, especially startup breweries, are not going to have that infrastructure to be able to put in a kitchen right away. And honestly, not all breweries have an interest in doing that. It's like, hey, we want to focus on the beer. And there's many brew pubs out there where the cuisine is also a focus, or it's a feature, and that's awesome. But like, it shouldn't be a requirement, like if a business is like, hey, we don't want to do all that. We're just here. We're to brew the beer. We're not trying to like cook our own food too. Like, it shouldn't have been a requirement. And I mean, like you said, it's sad that there's been a lot of breweries and bottle shops, tap rooms that, went by the wayside, but it's been really crazy too. Oh, that's good. That's funny.
The Govern Hater is what it was called.
Hater. Okay. Yeah, I mean,
Evans
it was
Brewing.
really cool to see a lot of breweries, and I know we've talked about it before, and I know I've discussed it a lot on the show, but just it's cool to talk about it now, because like it's now that we're like kind of far removed from it, it was really cool and interesting to see the different like innovations and workarounds that a lot of California breweries came out with. I think it just showed like how clever and how just awesome like California breweries and the whole community is. Like, I just saw so many breweries, honestly, in my area, and I know in your area too, thrive, figure it out, and actually say, hey, we're gonna, make fucking lemonade out of this shit. And like, breweries that now are like better off than they were because they were forced to figure out a food situation, even though that's a shitty thing and that shouldn't have happened. Like the brewery I was just talking about, 818, like they didn't have a kitchen and they just had a food truck situation. So they were like, what the fuck are we going to do? So to stay open, they partnered with a sushi restaurant next door. And they like got permission to stay open by it was like, all right, if you want to come in, you can order beer here, and then you scan this QR code and you order sushi from the restaurant next door. They're going to walk the food over to you, and then that's going to sort of like make it okay for you to be here. And that was so successful for them that they wound up actually buying the sushi restaurant and converting it into like a pizzeria / like sandwich shop and expanding. So for them, and I know there's, I'm bringing this up just as an example of like, there's so many different like breweries out there that weren't able to make it work, but obviously there's like so many that, fell by the wayside or just weren't able to put it together the way that others were. And what's really interesting is like, there was a lot of breweries that closed, in 2020 or like right off the bat, but I feel like you're seeing it more now because a lot of people like put that capital in and it was like, all right, we're just going to put like all the sort of like last resort rainy day money that we have and, pull out all of our like sort of like plan C, D, E, F, G, like really try and make this work. So now is when you're seeing like really the impact of the breweries of like, we're out of funding, we're out of time. Like, yeah, I don't know. In my area, I know we talked a little bit with Nick when we were at 14 Cannons, because 14 Cannons had this brewery that was like walking distance from them called Five Threads. And they kind of had like a different vibe and a different just atmosphere and like beer focus than what 14 Cannons had. And the two of them sort of like, they shared resources, they shared obviously customers, like they just really benefited from them having that like brewery ecosystem close by, as we've seen with so many different communities, as you were, you know, talking about even in the Sacramento community tonight. There's all these, you know, incredible breweries out there. Even, you know, our last episode, we were in Temecula. There's all the Temecula Murrieta breweries. Like that's so important to have that ecosystem of breweries that can like share customers and share resources with each other. But yeah, it's been interesting because like 14 Cannons is like continued to thrive. It's unfortunate Five Threads didn't, but yeah, there's a couple other breweries out in my area that I've found out over the past like month or two that probably are going to close by the end of the year. So it's just been interesting to see the impact, how it's like, you know, 3 years after the pandemic started, and you know, now people are like
catching up.
Yeah, it caught up.
Catching up with them. It's really sad, and knock on wood and hope that we don't ever have a pandemic again. Who knows? There's a lot of crazy things in the world that you know, we can't be always protected from. So, but like you said, it was really cool to see breweries kind of make it out of that and better themselves. I just feel bad for the ones that just didn't do it in time, and you know, and they're making their exits either then or now. You know, but I did like how the breweries kind of banded together against all the rules and regulations. And again, not politics, nothing against Gavin Newsom, but a lot of those policies that were driven towards these breweries, like it was silly, like, you know, with the food where, you know, you had to buy, like there was one point where it was, I think it was like for a month, you had, in order to buy a beer, you had to buy food.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so
exactly.
People, right? People, the general population, not everybody can afford to do both, right? There are the types of people that still want to enjoy a beer, a craft beer, but they make sacrifices. They can't go out and have a high-end dinner and craft beer, so they'll, you know, have a sensible dinner at home and then go out and have some beverages. And so then there was these people, they're like, well, you know, what do we do? And so the breweries acknowledged that. And there were these breweries that were like, seriously, you'd look at their menu and say one French fry, 25 cents. Right. And so there was stuff like that. And then that's when Gavin Newsom got a little petty, and he was like, he set standards for what the menu had to be to qualify for people to buy beer. You had to have X, Y, Z in order for them to buy beer. And to me, I thought that was ridiculous. You know, it's like, listen, they figured out a way. If someone wants to buy one French fry and have a beer, what's wrong with that? You know?
Yeah, to me, it's like and I don't think Gavin Newsom has it out for breweries or wineries or anything like that. And I don't think he's coming from a bad place. I don't think he's trying to hurt anybody, because obviously, like economically, if California does bad, that's bad for him. And I honestly don't think he's like genuinely wants to hurt anybody or any businesses. I think it's just like a failure of like understanding the nuances of breweries and wineries, tap rooms, you know, like the clientele, the structure of the business. Yeah, you know, it was like a failure of like understanding, you know, and I work in like in the beauty industry. So I interface a lot with a lot of like hairstylists, hairdressers, salon owners, barbershop owners, barbers, etc. And they had like honestly the same exact experience, because they were basically like required to do all their shit outside, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like when you're dealing with like temperature elements and stuff like that, obviously like when you're like doing hair color, et cetera, like doing that outside is not necessarily ideal in a way that, like, you know, if you're going to drink a beer outside on like a patio or whatever, that's not necessarily the worst thing in the world, especially in like beautiful Southern California where we have really nice weather most of the time. But Yeah, I saw the effect, not only in like the beer industry, but in the beauty industry as well. Like it just so many people were like really upset. And even like high end like salons and stuff or salon owners that I was interfacing through work, they were like, man, I offer like this like really like high end boutique experience where like customers come in and they get, treated really well, and they're paying for an experience where they're like, getting their hair done or getting this like beauty treatment done. And it was like, I can't really like replicate that outside. I can do it inside, and I can do it in a safe way. But yeah, I think overall, like hopefully the pandemic was like a good learning experience for like, business owners, because obviously it feels like politicians are always behind the curve, but hopefully, new breweries and even the OGs, but especially the new breweries, such as, you and BrewDad's Beer Works, I know you're paying attention a lot, and are going to be able to utilize a lot of that information of like, all right, here's what went wrong, here's what didn't, and, here's how we can, I don't know, insulate the business from getting like affected.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We've paid attention, listened to a lot of our friends, and speaking of BeerDad's Brewworks, pretty soon here, this coming weekend, we should be launching our Dad's Hawaiian shirt hazy double IPA. I'm really excited for that.
That's awesome.
So my partner, old John, what's up, John? He went and picked up and procured all our beers, and we're gonna start distributing them. So you're getting them in storage, getting them in the cold storage, and when I get back from Sacramento, we'll start making some deliveries. So we'll start seeing that out on the shelves here pretty soon.
That's
so
awesome.
Really excited.
I was gonna ask you. I was like, hey, what's the update for the listeners, or if there's any new information to share? But yeah, man,
absolutely.
I'm excited.
We got that coming. It's going to be out on the shelves hopefully this weekend. And it's like I said, it's a hazy double IPA with some pineapple in it. So it should be some smooth drinking with a little higher ABV. It's going to be around 8% alcohol ABV. But I'm excited. And the can art's really cool too. And then going forward, working on getting the tap room open. And we're also working on a Christmas beer that we'll have hopefully for our Christmas episode, because I'm really excited about it. It's Christmas Dads with Attitudes, and it's going to be a fun beer. It's going to be an interesting flavor. We'll just leave it at that. But Christmas Dads with Attitudes, think NWA, but all the Christmas dads like Tim Allen, Santa Claus, and Chevy Chase's Clark Griswold, all coming together for a special beer can. So look out for that for Christmas time. I can't wait for that one. I'm really excited. So I know Garth listening, Perfect Strangers Design, he's working hard on it. So I'm really stoked and excited for that beer to come out for Christmas time.
Dude, that's awesome. I'm stoked to try that. And yeah.
BeerDad's Brewworks. Go check them out on the IG. They're kind of like BeerDad and Brewed, only it's BeerDad's Brewworks. Funny how it sounds similar, right?
But was that on purpose? I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All right.
Shout out to, but before we move on, shout out to Garth and Quail, and is it Travis? Travis is his?
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
Garth and Travis. Quail, drink Quail out in Temecula. It's a great little tap room. If you haven't heard our last episode, you can go back and listen to it. It's always up. But that was probably the coolest episode I've ever been a part of. And there's been a lot, and of course I have a lot of memories with episodes with Josh and stuff like that. But to be able to be a part of an episode where you had some major breweries all in one episode, we've never done that on the show before. And that's why I called it the Super Show. I mean, it was insane. I mean, we had the brewer from Iron Fire. We had the brewer from Oscar's Brewing. We had a brewer from 8-Bit Brewing, like all these guys coming together, and just really, really cool. Of course, we had the Hop Squad with us, and it's just one of those episodes that I'll never forget. I just think that was really cool, and very grateful to Garth and Travis for letting us, utilize their awesome little location there so we could record and have a good time and enjoy some concha bread. Right.
Yeah, the conchas are good. Yeah, dude,
That's
I
my
totally
favorite
agree.
sound. My favorite sound clip of Eric saying, if it's a hard concha, it's a no-go.
Yeah, man, that was definitely like one of my favorites that I've been a part of as well. Like, it was a great time and it was a great vibe over there, and just really appreciated hearing from all those guys and gals. And yeah, man, I think that was a special one. That one will stand the test of like time, and yeah, I think that'll be
Absolutely.
yeah,
Great episode.
yeah, man.
Great episode.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm moving on to my next beer here, and we've talked about them all throughout the show. This is Urban Roots. This right here is probably one of my favorite beers of the year.
Whoa.
This is 10. Yeah.
That's a
This
statement.
is 10 degrees. It is a Czech style lager. And I just got to tell you, like when you get it poured there in a proper Czech glass and it's poured from the euchre faucet, little side pull, I mean, it's proper. They know what they're doing. So this beer it's just light, it's crisp, it's refreshing, it's proper. It's a very, very true to style, Czech style lager. You can see right there, crisp, clear,
Oh yeah.
beautiful
yeah.
white head. The aroma on it is everything you want out of a Czech style lager, bready and just crisp. And like you just know it's gonna like hit the spot when you see it when it's poured. You just like, this is gonna be a refreshing beer.
Oh yeah. That looks good.
Good stuff. I mean, Urban Roots, you guys are doing some good stuff here in Sacramento. So cheers. What do you got poured up?
All right, man. So I am drinking a lager. It's called Nordic Jam.
Uh-huh.
It's actually it's a Radler. And
Okay.
it's
So
from
a
a
little
brewery.
lemonade in there.
Right. So Radlers, for anybody that doesn't know that's listening, Radler is a lager brewed either with lemonade or like a lemon lime, basically like Sprite, can be like
Yeah.
one of the two. And this brewery actually specializes in Radlers. That's pretty
Oh, wow.
much, to my understanding, all they brew. They're based, I believe, out of Oakland. Let me just verify. Yeah, they're out in Oakland, and it was started by these two guys that played college baseball together. And in their own words, neither of them were very good. They spent a lot of time on the bench. And while they were on the bench, they bonded over not only being poor at their sport, but loving beer. And they started brewing together. And I'm not sure how necessarily they picked Radler as a style. But yeah, that's pretty much all they brew. And I found a few different ones out by me. And there's a cool like Thor on the cover, like a Thor looking figure.
I love that. That's dope.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
He's like
he's got a
stomping on
bunch
some
of different
fruit.
Yeah, exactly. And he's got it like fruit pierced on his swords, and yeah. But yeah, they're called Two Pitchers Brewing out of Oakland. So I'm gonna try this. Wow.
Pretty good.
It's really good. Let me look exactly what fruits. So it says we pack this lager with cherries, elderberries, and strawberries, all staples of the Viking warrior's diet, to create a downright delicious party in a can. Jam on, friends. Skål. That's really good, man. Yeah. I definitely get, it's a little bit of cherry, lots of sweetness from the strawberry, but then a little bit of bitterness at the end from the elderberry. I'm typically not a big Radler fan. I've had a few. I've over the past couple of years, I've had the great fortune of getting to spend some time up in northern Michigan. My girlfriend's family lives up there, and they have property very close to a lake. So I've spent a lot of time, lot of time in the summer out there, and radlers for whatever reason are like a big thing out in like northern Michigan. There's a lot of breweries that do radlers. Yeah, and my girlfriend's mom is like a huge radler fan. So when I show up there, and
Summer
shandies as
shandies.
well. Yeah, exactly. Summer shandy, and she's British. My girlfriend's mom is British, and shandies are big with the Brits as well. So she's always like, "Oh, let's have a shandy," when I show up. So
wait, hold on, do that again. I got to hear this again. I think this is the first time I ever heard Brandon do a British voice. Do it again.
Let's have a shandy.
Let's have a shandy. I love it.
Anyway,
it's so funny because your girlfriend doesn't talk like that at all, so she didn't get the accent.
No, her father is American, and she grew up here in the States, so she definitely got more of the American accent. But anyway, it's never been my kind of thing. But when I saw this and I was like, oh, it's from Northern California. Hey, this could be a cool thing to kind of feature on the show. And I really like these guys' story as well.
That's a really cool story.
Yeah, just like two buddies that just were like, hey, you know what? Like, yeah, we like baseball and beer. Like, let's just brew some shit together. And so two pitchers, Oakland, California. They perhaps have some other I don't know if they have any other tap rooms as well. If anyone's interested, you could look it up if you're in that area and you want something like a radler. I would say if you've never had a radler before, it's kind of like in the sour territory. Like if you like sours, radlers would probably be kind of your jam. But yeah, this is really good, man. And what I like about it is that the fruit qualities don't taste fake. Because that's what I don't like about a lot of like radler shandy type situations. It just tastes like artificial flavoring, or like maybe like a syrup or something. Like I feel like not real fruit is going into the mash. This one really, unless they're doing a good job of fooling me, it definitely tastes like real fruit was used. So
awesome. We'll definitely have to check them out. The two pitchers.
Yeah.
Go check them out. Bay Area's got some crushers, just like Sacramento. I mean, this whole Northern California thing, if in grand totality of things, a lot of places have amazing craft beer. It doesn't just have to be Southern California. We don't have to be biased. I love all craft beer, and I don't care where it's from. But Northern California, they've got some hitters, right? We've talked about Sacramento. We've talked about the Bay Area. I mean, and not to mention, you have, Santa Rosa, you got Russian River. I mean, come on, that's like one of the biggest hitters right there. Lagunitas, like all these cool breweries that are up here in Northern California. Special shout out to a brewery called Etna Brewing. Not a lot of people have heard about it. It's literally in Etna, California, which is like up by Wairika, so almost the end of California, off the 5 freeway. And then you get off the 5 and you got to go down through some mountain roads to get to it. And it's literally like an old, like Western kind of house turned into a brewery and a smokehouse. Like there's a big ass smoker outside. Great beer out there too. So, but Northern California, it's on the map. Like if you're a craft beer head, don't just stop at Southern California. Cruise on up. Central Coast has some bangers. Get up to the Bay Area, got some bangers. We've talked about, Oakland and stuff like that, but we talk about Alameda, right? I know, I think you have a beer from an Alameda brewery as well.
Yeah, Almanac, which has got a lot of anybody that's in the SoCal area that's listening to this. I would imagine you've heard of Almanac because they're in a lot of the tap rooms down here. They're in a lot of the bottle shops, even at restaurants. Like I find, just at random restaurants out here, they have Almanac on tap. I don't know how they're getting there.
Yeah, I see like their sour, their kettle sour series, the Nova series, the apricot and the cherry and all that. You see out quite frequently, and I've actually been there in person. The beer aunt and uncle live in Alameda, so I've been to Almanac, I've been to Faction, Alameda Island, and of course the big news for Alameda, they're getting a Humble Sea brewing out there too.
Oh shit! And Humble Sea is that Monterey?
Like that area, yeah.
Yeah,
But they're opening a brand new tap room there in Alameda, actually right by Almanac and Faction. So you can go
man.
and check it. It's an old Navy base, so they're all hangars, like old hangars from the planes, and it's right on the water, right, right there at the edge of the island, facing towards the Bay of San Francisco. Just a cool little spot, and all three places are great.
Yeah, dude,
Um,
that's awesome. I fucking love Humble Sea. I've never been there, but I've had the privilege of getting to try some of their beers.
Great
And
beer.
man, I've never had something that's not just perfect. And then
Oh
another
yeah,
one you brought up, Faction. I'm glad you brought up Faction because I love Faction. And they're in Alameda. Is that correct?
yes,
Okay.
they're literally like, so they're in the same, I don't want to say complex, but this is an old Navy base that they converted into shops, housing, restaurants, breweries, stuff like that. But Faction is on the water, like, so it's one of the coolest breweries I've ever been to. An old airplane hangar from the Navy. It faces San Francisco, so you can literally sit there and drink beer and look over the ocean and see the Oakland Bay Bridge that takes you over to San Francisco. You can see the city. Really cool scenery. And beers are amazing. Some
Dude,
of my favorite beers I've ever had have come from Faction, and I just have some good memories of sitting there with my uncle and my cousin drinking beer. It's a great brewery.
dude, that's awesome. Yeah, I really want to make it over there. And yeah, the way you've described just going there, you're like, that's one of those destination breweries where it's like, oh,
Oh
that's something
yeah,
you have to like, yeah, but the beer, it sounds like matches the destination.
yes.
And yeah, it's funny, man. Like I've spoken to a couple of different brewers over the years, like that one of the head brewers or either he's the head brewer or one of the brewers over at Whittier Brewing Company over here in California, in Whittier, California. I asked him, I was like, what's like a brewery or, a beer that you haven't brewed that you think is amazing? And he was like, oh, Faction. Like I barely had to finish my sentence. He was like, Faction. And I feel like there's a couple of other people that are, involved with the industry, whether they are home brewers or professional brewers that have said Faction is their favorite brewery. And so it's kind of like I was telling you, we were talking about Faction a couple of days ago, and I was like, man, Faction is like your brewer, your brewer's favorite brewery. Um, so they've got quite a reputation. So anybody that's out in that like Alameda area, I feel like that's got to be like one of your first stops. And then I just have two others that I just want to shout out in NorCal, just that I've stopped, in throughout my travels in that area. Um, Number one, Woody's Brewing Company out in Reading. Have you ever been to Woody's? Yeah. Oh, you know
So
Woody's?
no, so it's funny you say that. I haven't been to Woody's, but I mentioned Etna Brewing, and a really cool, I believe it was a Doppelbock that I had. It was a Etna Brewing beer that they did a collab with Woody's.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
yeah, and it was like an AC/DC theme beer,
Oh, that's
and
so cool.
yeah, I remember that. It was really, really, really good. So they did a good job. I think that um, uh, if you've never been to Etna, go to Etna. But obviously, if you like Woody's, and I had their collab with Etna, so definitely worth
Dude,
checking out.
yeah, Woody's is fucking amazing. Out in Reading, um, all the beer I had was great. One that like stands out to me, they have like an apricot wheat beer, very similar to like
Hmm.
a pyramid apricot wheat, but like way better. And the apricot is just like you can't believe like the freshness and like the just how well they hit like the apricot taste in this beer.
Right.
It's outstanding, but all their beer is really good. But the food is like some of the best food I've ever had at a brewery. I had a
Okay.
sandwich. I can't remember what sandwich I had, but I was like, God, I don't want this to end. Like, I want to get like two more and like take it with me on this trip. Um,
Yeah.
just yeah. So if you find yourself in Redding, California, which is like a really cool town, kind of close to the California-Oregon border. Redding, Woody's Brewing Company is a great place to stop for lunch. Like just if you're on a road trip, you're going like in the Pacific Northwest, that's a excellent place to stop. And then my last one that I want to shout out, and I'm curious if you've heard of it, Justin, is Black Hammer Brewing in San Francisco.
Black Hammer, no, I haven't heard of. But I think when I think of San Francisco, I was obviously you think of Anchor, which recently closed. Very sad, but I hear the employees are trying to bring it back, so we'll cross our fingers. And Laughing Monk is one of the ones that I've had from San Francisco. So, but never heard of Black Hammer. So tell me about it.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you shouted out Laughing Monk because like I really wanted to go there. Last time I was in San Francisco, I ran out of time, and they had like those like afternoon hours where it's like, oh, we open at 3, and it's like, shit, I'm gonna be out of town by then. But
right.
Yeah, Black Hammer is really awesome. They brew they brew all kinds of different styles, but they do a lot of like traditional German style beers. And when you go in there, you'll get your whole Stein of, you're not just going to get like your normal pint glass. Like if you order, like a German Pilsner or any of your like classic beer tasting beer styles, they're going to pour it in like a 1 liter or 2 liter Stein. You're not even going to know how much beer you order. You're going to be like, hey, can I get that Pilsner? And you're just going to get a 2 liter Stein and be like, oh, okay. I'm going to be here for a minute.
That's awesome.
But yeah, man, it's really, and like all the people are just like, they're so nice there. I know San Francisco gets a bad rap right now for, a lot of reasons. But yeah, it was like a breath of fresh air to just like go in and just experience like really nice people, really passionate about the beer.
Yeah.
It's in a cool little like artsy section of San Francisco. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of great breweries, like you said, Laughing Monk and a bunch of others out there, but Black Hammer was definitely one of the best I experienced. And I know it's big beer. 21st Amendment is another one out in San Francisco. I know that's like big beer, but I did go and have some lunch when I was there and had a couple of like really crazy like barrel aged stouts when I was at 21st Amendment. I didn't even know they really, like did that kind of thing. Because obviously they're known for that I don't know what it is, like a watermelon wheat beer or something like that. They have a lot of like super mainstream stuff.
The angry watermelon or whatever it's called.
Yeah. But honestly, like they have a few locations throughout Northern California and in San Francisco. I'm not saying it should be your first stop, but if you're like in San Francisco, you're looking for like a place that has like, you can get a good burger or a nice like hearty meal at and have like a, pretty decent beer as well. 21st Amendment is cool.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And we definitely have a virtual cornucopia of amazing breweries here in the state of California. And we're fortunate to be in SoCal and have some amazing breweries to go and experience. And, I mean, you could just stay in San Diego and it would take you all year and you probably still would get through all the breweries, but it's fun to explore, definitely. And I'm glad that we were able to shout out some NorCal breweries because, we've had them on the show before. Like I've had Faction on the show. I want to say like either the first or second episode, we had Anomaly Milk Stout, which was one of the very first golden stouts I've ever had in my life. It truly was an experience. I remember being with my Uncle Bill, also known as Uncle Pooter. That was what I called him when I was little. And we went there and I ordered a flight. And one of the beers on the flight that I asked for was the Anomaly Milk Stout. And I remember, and I had and this is before the BeerDad became the BeerDad and had the BeerDad and Brewed podcast. This was in its early infant stages of my beer exploration, right? And I knew I loved stouts. Not being an expert, I looked at the flight and I didn't see any stouts. I was like, thought I ordered a stout. Oh, well, whatever. I'll just drink this and I'll go up and I'll order something else. So I get to the Anomaly Milk Stout. And if anybody knows anything about golden stouts, it pours very much so like a blonde, like, very, maybe not as crisp as like a lager or pilsner, but still crisp and clear like a blonde. And then it'll have a creamier head to it. So clear, it's a clear beer, right? Definitely not what you think you're going to see in a stout. And I just remember I picked up the glass and I got it just barely close to my nose. And I was like, I smell coffee. Like, what the hell's going on here? It was a total mind fuck. I mean, just really crazy. And then I remember having my uncle try it and we were just like, we were sold. And it was like, that was one of my favorite beers from Faction Brewing. And then, of course, the memory of being there with your uncle. Like, I love my uncle. And, he's such a funny guy. I actually just got to see him the other day. So it was really cool. And we were sitting there drinking beers at Urban Roots, did a cheers with him over some of actually what I'm drinking right now. The 10 degrees Czech style Pilsner, Czech style lager, which I'm drinking right now. And it's so crisp, so refreshing. Yeah, that beer could be an everyday drinking beer. It's so good. It looks
damn good. Yeah, it looks damn good. Man, I've had randomly, like, all the beers I feel like I've had from Faction are double IPAs, maybe triple. No single, like no regular. It's like always double IPA, and they're always just like phenomenal. Like,
yeah,
I just fucking like, I'm always like, man, why did I only get one of those? So I always run into them at bottle shops out here in the Los Angeles area. The types of places where you can, like, make your own 4-pack, make your own 6-pack, whatever. I'm always like, all right, well, I'll try one of these, one of those. And once I get through that 4-pack, 6-pack, I'm always like, damn, man, I should have got more of the Faction. Always, man. Always more of the Faction. But
one of these days we'll schedule a podcast trip, because I may or may not have family there in Alameda that we won't have to worry about hotels for, and definitely have to go to Faction. It'd be a really cool experience. There's just the whole Alameda Island. Like, I mean, like I said, you got Faction, you got Almanac, you got Humble Sea, you got Alameda Island, and I believe there's another new one that just opened not too far from Alameda, over there by Berkeley, is a brand new Great Notion satellite brewery.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Man, I love Great Notion.
And speaking of Great Notion, I mean, we're talking about Sacramento, and I completely forgot about this. There is a Great Notion, I don't even know what you want to call it, but there's like a Great Notion like retail shop here in Sacramento. So I don't know if you remember when Great Notion started offering shipping within California. I guess how they got that was by opening this place here in Sacramento. And it's not a bar or a tap room or anything like that. You can just go in and buy Great Notion beers to go. But they also ship within California. So there's a big warehouse. There's like a distribution warehouse. So anybody in California can order Great Notion on the fly. In fact, they have an app. If you want to go look up Great Notion's app, you download the app and you can order all the beers straight from your app. And they have like a rewards and points program to where you can like score like free, 4-packs and cases and stuff like that. So check that out. And in fact, I might have to cruise over there, because if I'm not mistaken, it's in Natomas, which is where I'm at.
Ooh,
So go check that out and see what that's all about. Because we know Great Notion's a great beer.
Oh man. So it's amazing. And I know they're out of Oregon, but is it Portland that they're out of?
Yeah, they're like the Portland area.
Yeah, okay. Man, Great Notion is like crazy. And they do all different kinds of styles, but like their stouts are they're nuts. Like absolutely nuts, man. And there's a place I was talking about earlier, Valley Beverage Company out in Sherman Oaks, California. They have like crazy Great Notion allocations. Like when I was picking up all my Kings, Lucy's and singles, I got a couple of Great Notions as well. It was like as if I had walked into a Great Notion like tap room and had access to like everything. Like it was crazy. I was like, I can't believe I'm getting all this, man. And like, but Great Ocean is great, man. I gotta look up. I had a beer from them like not too long ago. That was it was crazy. I gotta look this up.
I know one of my favorites, you were talking about stouts, the Peanut Brothers. It was like two mice. I don't know if you ever saw that beer, but that one was really, really good.
No. Okay, the one that I had during the pandemic, there was there was like a bunch of like online beer festivals or like streaming beer festivals, or it was like, hey, we're gonna send you the beer and then we're gonna do a live stream, and then you just kind of watch the live stream and drink the beers together. And there was a great one that was like all breakfast beer themed. And Great Notion was one of the breweries that that brewed for it. And it was like a pancake themed beer. I gotta find this beer. Yeah,
I know exactly what you're talking about because I had it.
Yeah, double stack Imperial Breakfast Stout aged on whole bean coffee from Mostra Coffee with maple syrup. Yeah.
Mostra Coffee, San Diego, California.
Shout out to Mostra SD. Yeah. Man, it was nuts.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I love it. But man, like I said, we have so many options here in Northern California. Some amazing breweries. Ghost Town Brewing in Oakland is blowing up right now. In fact, Jimmy at the Craft Lounge, he's carrying it now. It's just kind of blown up. Very similar, like if you look at their like can art and stuff like that, very similar to like Electric Brewing, hazy IPAs, stouts, different things that they're making, and they've just blown up. So apparently, really really good beer from Ghost Town. I had some last night at Mojo's, so definitely check that out for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I heard of them. First time I heard of them was they participated in a series called Short Lived with Made West.
Yep.
I brought you a couple of Short Lived before. Made West out in Ventura, California. They do this series called Short Lived where they just brew one beer with a collaborative brewery, and they never brew it again, with a few exceptions. They have gone back and brewed again for the very popular brews, but Ghost Town was one of the breweries they brewed with, and I remember it being pretty good.
Nice.
It was like a very like standard IPA. But I feel like they're coming up more. I've definitely seen them on tap at a couple of places.
Ghost Town. Maybe we'll have to check them out one of these days.
You got one more over there?
I can have one more. It's probably not going to be a Sacramento beer, but there's some stuff here in Brandon's fridge.
Okay. I don't want to steal Brandon's beer.
That's okay. He'll be fine.
All right. Well,
all right. You pour something. Let me go check the old fridge over here.
Okay. Hey, I'm going to pause this real quick. I'm going to run to the bathroom and pour some.
Sounds good.
All right. Looks like you found a beer over there.
I did find a beer. It is some BeerDad's Brew Works Father Figure IPA football season with cryo hops.
Damn. I haven't tried that one yet. Walk us through it. So I think you might have talked about it on the show before, but it's similar to what the first IPA, but it's a different hop, right?
Different, yeah. Well, so basically you have Citra and you have Citra cryo hops. So it's got the cryo hop in it. So it's going to be compared to the first one with the 4 C's. This one's going to have a little bit more bite to it, but not enough bite to where it's like super like overly hoppy or anything like that. It sits very similar. The first Father Figure was 6%. This one's 6.5%. So not too much different, but you can see nice clear color. Very on the aroma, this kind of danky, funky smell. And then you're gonna, for those West Coast IPA lovers, you're gonna like that, you know, almost like tree bark flavor, right? Some of that stuff that people are familiar with the West Coast IPA, but not intense. Just a little bit of spice, little heat, and rinse is clean. That's what you want.
Love it. And if I wanted to go find that at like a bottle shop, what are some of the bottle shops I should look for it at?
So this one is out and about to the masses. I got to get some more deliveries out on some of it. I'm running out of it. So if there's some bottle shops out there that need it, hit me up ASAP because I'm running out. It is available at Louis Liquor out in Azusa, California.
Hell yeah. Love those guys.
You have Cal Ranch in Menifee, Marietta Liquor. It's available at Keg and Bottle in Mira Mesa, Palm Springs Liquor out in La Mesa, California. So we're kind of pretty much every store that carries our beer. Castle Liquor in Hemet, shout out to those guys. One of our highest producing retail outlets, believe it or not, in a little old town called Hemet, California, which may or may not be where the BeerDad lives. But they do really well with our product. The people in Hemet have taken to it, and I'm very grateful and thankful to the people in Hemet for supporting me by going to Castle Liquor. So I didn't want, with my own company, I didn't want to spread thin, right? We have very low overhead. It's just John and I right now. Eventually, we're going to grow here once the tap room opens, but I wanted to have exclusivity there with Castle Liquor being the only liquor store in Hemet that has it. I mean, there's a ton of liquor stores in Hemet, and I've been approached by some of them, but I really like Rick over at Castle Liquor, and I like, that they do so well with my product. I mean, the people in Hemet, don't mind driving over to East Hemet to get it. But this is a good one, man. I really like how this came out. It's different, a little funky, but enjoyable and super refreshing. And I think people will love it.
I'm sure they will, man. I mean, I really loved the first two beers that you distributed widely. I know you've had, what is it, at least 3 beers, right? Because you had the Oscars Brewing collab out. So this is what, beer number 4. And then the one we were talking about earlier would be beer number 5. But yeah, man, I really love those first 2 that you put out, the blonde and the first IPA that you did, the first Father Figure IPA. They're really good. I'm not just saying that because you're my buddy and I love you and I want to support you, but they're really honestly just objectively great beer. And to everybody out there listening, definitely highly recommend seeking out the beer. I know it's not widely distributed yet, that soon come, but
we're working on it.
Yeah, man, keep an eye out. I'm really proud of you, man, because honestly it's high quality stuff, and not that I'm like surprised at all, but like to an extent I was like, damn, like Justin came with some fire, man, on his first like go here. Like I was surprised at how good. I knew you were gonna put out some good beer. I knew you wouldn't put out like some bullshit. But in terms of like how good it was, and again, I realized like everyone probably just thinking I'm saying it, but yeah, I was super impressed with how good it was. So yeah, proud of what you guys are doing over there. Really excited to see the new brews coming out. Excited to try this new IPA and then some of the other stuff you have coming out soon. And yeah, anybody that like sees it, honestly, just like pick up a 4-pack or a single can or whatever it is, like just try it. Like it's good. And if you like it, leave a review on Untapped. Give it a nice review. And if you don't like it, don't review it. but
Just if you don't like a style and that's the style, don't review it. That's my take. But I think people will like this. I think West Coast IPA fans will like this. It's a sport. It's a sport drink. For the people that like to sit there, obviously what we did here with the can is, we went football season, so we switched up the dad, right? So in the baseball season, we had the dad. He was swinging for the fences. And here we've got dad here at the company flag football game. And, obviously he's going hard because he's got his beer helmet, sipping from his beer helmet, right? And I just love, everything about these cans for, sports fans. With our baseball series, we had 1987 Topps baseball card. This is a retro Topps football card. And then, of course, there's the fun stuff on the can. So in the first one, we had a dad joke related to baseball. This one's got dad joke related to football. And we always joke there's always free dad jokes on every can. And this one is why did the football coach go to the bank to get his quarterback? Right.
I mean, duh.
Classic, right?
Classic.
And it says, who catches the long ball at the company flag football game? Father Figure IPA, the staple Westie will keep you crushing year round. The new football season recipe hopped with Citrus, Cryo, and Centennial. Father Figure IPA, BeerDad's Brewworks, San Diego, California. Look for it on the shelves. If your local bottle shop or taproom does not carry BeerDad's Brewworks, tell them to go on Instagram, send us a DM, and we will try to do our best to get you some beer. Even if you're not in the Southern California area, we'll figure it out. And if you guys are in Northern California and you have a distributor that brings stuff up from San Diego area, definitely hit us up and maybe we can work something out with that distributor to get you some of our beer, because I would love nothing more than to see our beer scattered throughout the whole state of California and anywhere else that loves craft beer. So, but I'm very proud of this. It's the company's kind of plugging away and we're just kind of starting to grow our name. And because of this podcast, this platform, I've been able to do this. And I want to thank all the listeners that have been supportive of us for that. But this is really, really, really cool. Like for me, some of the biggest things are to just see people enjoy it, to know that that's my beer. That is our company that's behind it. And then I really like to see it on shelves, on menus. Quail down in Temecula carries our Dad Bod beer, and it's really cool because I know they do really well with it. And you see it on the menu right there. It says Dad Bod, Blonde Ale, BeerDad's Brewworks, and it's just surreal to see,
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely proud. And I know Josh is looking down and he'd be really excited. I know he'd be a big catalyst of this going forward as well. That's something that we always talked about doing together, and we kind of still are doing it together. He's still with me, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be where I'm at. And so I thank him for that. But this is good beer. Definitely got to go try Father Figure IPA. Cheers.
Cheers, man. Even though I'm not sipping on Father Figure IPA, I'm excited to try it. And yeah, man. I'm sipping on a Kolsch from Almanac just to close out the NorCal vibes of tonight. It's called True Kolsch from Almanac, and it's really good, man. Super crushable, bready, got all those German vibes you would want. Drinking it out of my KBC Lager House little dimple mug. Shout out to
that.
Jeremiah and all the fine folks over at Kings and KBC. And yeah, it's really good, man. Like I said, like anyone that's listening in like SoCal, Los Angeles area specifically, there's definitely a lot of Almanac out here. What's interesting too is like Almanac seems to brew a lot of holiday themed beers. So like this is
Yeah.
like the time of the year when I feel like Almanac kind of like comes out and gets all their beers sort of distributed out. And that's how I first kind of heard about them. I can't remember what it was. I'd have to look it up, but
Probably Sour Nova. That was kind of what really got distributed mass to the masses.
uh, oh, okay. I guess I don't have it recorded, but anyway, good stuff. Yeah. And yeah, man, just so many great like beers throughout the state and out in that area. Like it's just awesome to see. It's overwhelming. Like there's like too many good breweries and beers, but I
It's
guess
crazy to think like California's just crushing it. I mean, I know we're the largest state in the country, but when you look at the grand scheme of things, when it comes to breweries and whatnot throughout the whole entire country, you can't match California's power. We have so many great breweries, and that's not to discredit some of the great breweries throughout the country. But I mean, gosh, I feel like you could almost spend your eternity trying to drink your way through California. I mean, you start from top to bottom. I mean, you go down to as far south as Chula Vista Brewing, which is practically damn near in Mexico, right? All the way to Etna Brewing, which is practically in Oregon. I mean, talk about a fun whirlwind tour. That'd be great. Like the BeerDad and Brewed podcast motorhome, and it just goes
yeah.
from Chula Vista up to Etna and everywhere in between. That would be a lot of fun. That really would. Of course, then I wouldn't have time for the brewery, but it would be fun, like for sure, to experience breweries from all throughout the whole entire state of California. Because I know that between you and I and everybody that's been a part of the show, we've had our fair share of breweries throughout the state of California, but I'm pretty sure there are so many untouched breweries that we haven't even discovered yet. And that's what this show's all about. The interaction with the listeners, where they recommend places, they tag places, different breweries, slide into our DMs and request that we come visit, like all these things. Like it's been an amazing experience, and there's just so much more potential for this show for us to explore and try new beers and meet new brewers and owners and stuff like that. I'm really excited. We have a huge future for this show. We really do. I know people listening, they know I'm launching a brewery and all that kind of stuff, but the show is going to be here for a long time. I've got lots of big plans for the podcast. I want to do collabs with our brewery, and I'm thinking of bringing in brewers, when they do collabs with the brewery, it'd be like, listen, if you're going to come do a collab, it's mandatory that you got to record a podcast too. So, just different things like that. But I know you and I have had a lot of talks about different places that we want to go and visit and stuff like that. So there's a lot on the agenda. So for you listeners listening to the BeerDad and Brewed podcast, stay tuned, buckle up, and be ready for more adventures of the BeerDad and Brewed podcast, featuring myself and Sir Brandon of the Hills of Agoura, because there's a lot of beer to drink, man. Somebody's got to do it, and I volunteer ourselves as tribute.
I will gladly take that challenge, and yeah, lots of exciting times to come. And yeah, man, just keep
That's
doing
great.
it. And thank you to everybody, that's been listening. Like, dude, I mean, just as a listener of the show, like I've discovered so many great breweries and so much great beer that I had no idea was out there. Like the two I mentioned earlier, Kings and Baba, just like after the way I had heard it spoken about on the show, I was like, dang, I really gotta find a way to drink this beer. And luckily was able to find some of it. And I think, yeah, at the end of the day, that's the beautiful thing about this show is just kind of shining a light on all the amazing breweries close and far. And yeah, paying tribute to this beautiful substance that we enjoy.
It is a beautiful substance of water and hops and grain and yeast, all the beautiful magic that makes beer, of course. But the biggest thing that I love about beer is not the drink itself, but what beer does to people, right? It's, you have your people out there that will say, well, beer drinkers are alcoholics and this and that, right? And it's, I'm sure there's alcoholics out there, but when it comes to craft beer people, we are a different breed. We don't go out to drink to get drunk. We go out to drink to socialize and to meet people and to discover new experiences. And, we've talked about it many, many times. It brings people together. It's a conversation starter. I just love craft beer, and I love that we're doing this show. It's been around for 4 years. It's getting old.
It's crazy, man. It's so crazy.
It's getting old.
Yeah.
So many episodes, so many beers drank, so many fun memories of different travels, being at different breweries, meeting different people. And definitely love it. And I can't wait for it to continue and for us to have a good time doing so. So, with that being said, shout out to all the Northern California breweries that we featured on the show. Track 7, Urban Roots, King Kong. And then you had,
Drake's, Dokkaebier, Two Pitchers, and Almanac. And
beautiful.
And I have to say, all of them were excellent, but shockingly, I think the Two Pitchers was actually my favorite rather. Not my
two pitchers were your two favorites. Well, technically, it's two different drinks in one, so right. You're not wrong there.
That's true.
Yeah,
lemonade and beer. Yeah, Two Pitchers. This beer or this Radler rather was my favorite. It was the Nordic Jam lager with Nordic fruits. It had cherries, elderberries, and strawberries in it. I was really shocked at the quality of this Radler. Like, just tasted like so, not just like fresh, but just authentic, like I was saying before, or just like legit. Like, it just tasted like there really was fruit in there. I picked this up, like I said, just because I thought, like, whoa, a brewery that focuses on Radlers? That's so random and strange.
Right.
I gotta try this. And excellent. I honestly, I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say it's the best Radler I've ever had. And
wow.
Yeah.
Two Pitchers. You guys heard that in the BeerDad and Brew podcast. Two Pitchers is the best Radler Sir Brandon of the Hills of Agoura has ever had.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time. I'll have to get a hold of some so I can see where I'm at with that. Now, Radlers have always never really been, Shandy's Radlers never been my favorite of things. I did have a really good one in Germany. But it's something it's a new style that's interesting to try. In fact, Creative Creature actually just dropped last week a new Radler. Or Shandy or something like that, but you'll have to look it up and see what it is. But it's one of those refreshing type beers where it's like you got a decent beer with a lot of oomph, and then you cut it in half with some kind of like citrusy juice that you mix with it, and sometimes those combinations can be really good. So but yeah, for me, I had all these beers on the show, and you would think I would say, okay, my favorite beer is Father Figure IPA by BeerDad's Brewworks. Look for it on the shelves. You got your Father Figure right here, hooping it up in the basketball world, flag football, got the beer helmet, all that good stuff. But I am 100% transparent, and I will say that, is that my favorite beer of the show? No, it's not. It's a good beer. It's a West Coast IPA, but favorite beer of the show, and I already said it's one of my favorite beers of the year, 10 Degrees from Urban Roots, Czech style lager. It's just so good. It's stupid. Definitely check out Urban Roots. And what's like I said, Urban Roots, if you're here in Sacramento and you actually get to experience it in person and you're hungry, the barbecue food is just unreal. It's next level. The burnt ends, the mac and cheese, the collard greens, everything that they serve is stupid good, but their beer is just as good as well. And I don't want to discredit the other beers that I had. Track 7, the Oso Blanco, very unique, crazy sour. It had so much flavor going on. Look for it. And then King Kong Brewing here in Sacramento with the Bohemian Pilsner. Super good. I mean, I had great stuff. You had great stuff. I only feel like the only thing that's missing for this episode is possibly Grandma. And I have no idea how she's going to get here because I'm in Sacramento. You're in Agoura Hills. I don't know how that's going to work, but somehow, some way, Grandma, you're going to have to say hi to everybody. Cheers, everybody.
They also practice by drinking the urine of a ram.
The what?
They drink ram's piss.
Because of the pH balance?
No, because if you can drink ram's piss, fuck, you can drink almost anything.
She said fuck.
Oh, what is the malted liquor? What gets you drunk or bigger? What comes in bottles or in cans? Beer. Can't get enough of it. Beer. How we really love it. Beer. Makes me think I'm a man. Beer. I could kiss and hug it, but I'd rather chug it. Beer. My belly after here. Beer. I could not refuse it. Beer. I could really use a beer. Beer. I can't remember how much I have had. I drank a 12-pack with my dad.